Everybody hear that? We got to 6 and 4. Our goal when we're doing this is to get it down to 0. When it happens, probably 9 cases out of 10.
Sometimes people don't turn the numbers have gone down in our study.
Is this happening? Is this happening?
Because they like it, they don't want to admit that the numbers have gone. I've been fooled a couple of times with us. Could be going down.
It's going like 1 or 1
Yeah. Well, we'll do one more round, eh? And then it will have gone, I know that. We'll do this anytime.
Anybody notice it looks different? I know about the smile, but she sat down with a smile.
So what was going on there?
Do you think other people too were going with your healing, because I was?
Yeah,
Yes.
very possible.
Yes,
Very
often happens.
possible. So what was going on there? What was happening?
I think block about letting them in.
I know you did.
But then gradually, it was going in waves, it was going, allowing, and it's feeling great, the next minute it's something wanted to pull me back. So that's why it was going in waves, one was like 4, then 6, and 4, and 2. Yeah, and then it felt very nice to actually let the love in, not have this whatever barrier or whatever was there, or whatever it was. Yeah,
So it's quite common that people can't bring love into them. So I've not found anybody who can't give it out, even if it's to an animal or whatever. And then as we work, I then say, well, do you think you could bring a little bit of love into it? And you said immediately yes, didn't you?
Take it from me, you cannot put a price on the ability to shift from someone to shift, not being able to allow them to love themselves to one where they can.
Because what's happening when you can't love yourself? A lot of things, isn't it? A lot of things.
Yeah, and like, I noticed like I do lots of healing work, and it just sometimes feels like quite black and empty inside. But you're doing that, it just feels like it's full of light.
Well, I'll give you a classic example of this woman who was called Sis. She was a midwife. She came to me, she'd been 48 years a midwife and she retired. And when you see someone who's so ill, her face is the colour of that projector, what do you say to them? Oh, you look wonderful. She looks as though she was dying. Anyway, I normally ask open questions, but for once I thought, I've looked back about 10 years now. I just said to her, do you love yourself? Knowing full well the answer I was going to get. And I almost had to duck. I think she was sizing up to slap me across the face. And she went on this big tirade about, I used to love my babies and my mothers, no time to love myself. And then the penny dropped. She was a shell. She'd given herself away for 48 years. There was nothing left. And she came a fortnight later and said, I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Anyway, we both did some work with her, and we saw her about a year later, and she looked like she stepped off the cover of Vogue, and she was in her 60s. She was looking so well, you wouldn't believe it. Because she realised she'd given herself away. So the ability to love yourself is so primal, so desperately needed, that in itself is a healing.
And most times you give yourself away, burn yourself out, with nothing left for you. So this process, you bring it back in, and you can give it out as much as you want, as long as you're bringing it back in. And I've had people have said, I just cannot love them all around. No. But as we do this process, I can talk them through and say, try bringing it in, and it works, doesn't it?
But we are taught to keep things out, aren't we, I suppose?
Yeah.
Like, old world and safe, blah, blah, blah. So I suppose something on subconscious level, that's what's happened.
Oh yeah, that's
Through
how we're programmed.
Yeah.
And this work is about deprogramming. A lot of unlearning goes on here.
That was what's happening. That's one reason why it was waving, because I'd be giving this unconditional love out, and then a memory would come that was like bad, which kind of like slapped me back down again. So it was like releasing all that.
I haven't got a clue what he came up with, and we don't need to know. Because the cellular memory from whatever that was is cleared and gone. Okay? On that particular issue that you came up with. Okay?
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you. And no, I don't know how it works.
Sorry, no, really good. I'm glad you like that.
I know it works with the love, and when I'm working with somebody, and I know Jack does, I have one with that person, I become one with Katie, and my heart becomes your heart. So we blend as one. That's how I work, and you're similar. And it works.
And we've never done a demonstration. No, there's one exception, but it sorted itself out. How many of these? We must have done 30 of these. And that's what we get.
But when you get to 9 and 10, that is big stuff. That really is big stuff.
It never fails. It never ever fails. That is what happens every single time we come out and do this work. Now, wouldn't you like that kind of consistency in your life? And believe me, it's there. And we're not special people, we're no different than you are. So I don't know anybody.
Alex Lloyd, I mean, he trained in various things, but just an ordinary guy.
He does a good Elvis impression.
He does.
You've got to do it
Taxi.
from Nashville, haven't you? With his accent. Right, we've got about 5 more minutes. I just want to answer, Nick asked a great question before during the break about protection, I think it was to do with it, wasn't it? Yeah. Now, if you go on our website, you'll see an example of where I use this process to relieve I've never been ill in all my life. Well, I had a nervous breakdown in 2002, that was to do with something else, but I've not been physically ill. And in February, I went to bed one night and woke up. I had pain here, below the shoulder blade on the left. I had the most intense pain in the stomach. I had acid reflux, and I thought my head was going to explode. And it was so intense, I wanted to die. I just thought, I can't hack it. I can't. It was so bad. I don't know if any of you experienced this. You were so bad you wanted to step outside your own body because what was going on in it, you just don't want it. Anyway, what happened was, Anne was on.
Well, I thought she was having a heart attack. I just sat up in bed. It happened so quick, seconds, and I thought he was having a heart attack. And you were almost tears, weren't you?
Well, it was.
The pain.
I just couldn't hack it.
And I never even thought about the healing codes. I was just boom, and I just commanded Jesus to heal him. Just that's all I could do. And the next minute he's laughing. Well, I don't know if he's laughing or crying at this time. I'm
It
just
was
like,
hysterical laughter. It was joyful laughter. It went from the depths. It was as bad as it gets. If it got worse than that, you're not going to see me again. It was that bad. And then it came back a few hours later. And because I'd never been ill, I thought I'll need to explore this. So I spent a week without any kind of healing. And then realised it was getting so bad I had to do something about it. So I used the healing codes, and 2 weeks later it was gone. That account is on the website. Right, we do workshops. They're just some quotes from people who've been on them. You can see the price there, 65 quid, which may seem a lot to some of you, but we do this for a living, and that's what most people charge for this kind of work. There are other forms of healing. I mentioned this woman, she helped pay $3 grand for 2 days. That didn't work, this does.
but she couldn't get over it. She spent 65 quid. And over the years I spent over 100 grand, over 22 years, and it worked. Now, it doesn't work like that in all the cases. There's always a healing. We've had with Katie, but I didn't know how bad her anxiety was. She just told me she had anxiety.
So, but the cheap, buy a book from Amazon cost 8 quid, get them from us for 10. But if Jamie and or anybody else can get 20 people together, we'll do it for 40 quid a head here, because we believe in True Chiefs and what they're doing. We believe in what you're doing. So if anybody wants to give that a go, we'll come and do it. Yeah. Because it's music to my ears. I mean, I was involved in left-wing politics in the 20s. And I wanted to kill people. That was the route, It didn't work, because what happens when they're all dead? So, what True Chiefs is doing is brilliant. So, we're putting that offer out to you. Want to visit our site, thehealingcoach.co.uk. You'll see 2 videos on there of Anne doing the same that you've seen here. Some of you may have seen this. Releasing dark energies and helping with tinnitus. The originators of the sites, their website's thehealingcoach.com. You'll see hundreds of testimonials on the originator's site. We also are partners in a TV and radio production company called MBS Lifestyles. On there you will see an interview with Alex Lloyd. You will also see reference to John of God, some of you may have heard of him. A psychic artist, Charles J. Fry, and a healer called Stephen Treese. They're not on there yet. Starting Tuesdays at either next week or the week after, we're doing live TV on the internet, a 1-hour phone-in show live on the internet. We're not going to tell you when it starts because we played around with it on Monday, didn't we? One person was watching it.
Well, we never told anybody, so.
Because it was 20 minutes before we got the sound up and running. So we've not told anybody yet, but we will send an email out once it's up and running. And that'll be up and running within the next few weeks.
But the interview with Alex Lloyd and Jack is really, really, worth watching.
If you're a bit like that, whether to go on the workshop, watch that interview. You make a decision, either one way or the other. We've never met anybody like him, have we? We've met a lot of people.
No, we haven't. And they've been extremely good to us.
Incredible people.
Whatever we've asked for and more, it's done.
Have they got a YouTube channel?
I think they might have. If you go on thehealingcoach.com, AD, you might find it.
Right,
I
okay.
don't know.
I'll have a look for that,
Have a
thank
look.
you.
There's a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll
I don't know whether
check.
they've got actually a channel, but they've got stuff on there.
Thanks.
MBS Lifestyles haven't yet, but have a look at the site.
Yeah,
Can
we'll
I
do.
ask a
Check it out.
question?
Yes?
Have you ever been, as the lady now, she's the healer, have you ever been attacked by evil?
No.
Although I'm a spiritual like you are, I have been attacked by evil. I was in my bed one night and it was like as if a hurricane was blowing all the clothes off me, and at the bottom of my bed I saw something very evil looking, and I told him to get back where you came from,
I have seen,
and I've never had anything since.
but the,
But because I say it's very spiritually minded.
I
I
mean,
just wondered whether, because you are spiritual, had you had that experience?
no, I have seen things, but they weren't actually attacking me. But this lady here, Sue DeVal here, she had a lot of dark energies. We were on a work, well, she'd been to you many years ago prior to that for help because she'd been a drug addict, prostitute, you name it, she'd done it. Came from a very good, wealthy background and was abused by a neighbour and caused all these drinking and stuff. And she came to you for help, didn't she? And when you were doing NLP, and she thought it was a
5
bit
years ago.
potty. But then she realised
She was right.
she'd been through 4 or 5 psychiatrists, and she realised Jack was the only person that actually helped her, and did. And then she tracked us down about 5 years later, and that, I think that was on the Thursday, and on the Saturday we were doing a course, and she came on it. And I picked up dark energies, and I said, have you got dark energies, Sue? And she said, yes. I said, would you like them clearing after the afternoon break? And she said, yeah, fine. I didn't know this, but at lunchtime, we broke for lunch then, she said she felt ill, she felt sick. She was getting voices saying, get in your car and go home. She walked up the stairs because we were upstairs like room like this. She said her knees buckled. She sat next to me, she said, it's all right because I'm not going to do it until after the 3 o'clock break. I must have picked it up, I don't know, but I just said, okay, Sue, we're going to do it. And she said she doesn't know how she walked from here to there while I did it, but they went. And people actually saw them going. Quite an experience, because I'd never used the healing codes to use dark energy. I'd used theta, and I thought I'll try it with healing codes, and it worked, and it just changed her life.
I
She
mean,
was told-
I just told it to get back where it came from.
Well, it clearly
And it went.
listened.
But I know people do have
Never
psychic
returned
attacks.
again.
No.
With Sue, what
Just-
happened,
the-
when she was in her
I mean,
20s
you have to do that.
or 30s, she was told by some born-again Christians, and I'm not labelling all born-again Christians under that description, but these people were need.
Well, they knocked on the door when she was a very, very low ebb.
And they told her she was possessed by the devil. And she
Oh.
Oh
believed
my
it.
God.
That's a great time for him to walk in, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Perfect time.
she's gone, it's
So,
gone.
of course, with everything else,
Yeah.
the drinking and the alcohol, of course, the aura had been depleted, and she's absolutely fine now.
And just to close the session, just to, the second part of the answer to Nick about the protection, what I find is, if I do certain things, if I eat after 9 o'clock, if I eat refined sugar, if I drink too much, I get the condition back. But if I do that, and I've done it once or twice, because I'm human, by saying the prayer, I can almost feel it dissipate. So the best protection you'll ever find using this material, if you need it, is to say the prayer. Right, any last questions before we finish? Yeah?
You renamed the prayer before you said it, Katie,
Yes.
as the intention.
Yes.
But you had already said that you were reading it so you didn't get the words wrong. As I understand it, if the intention is right, it doesn't matter if the words are wrong.
Absolutely.
So,
You're right, but now everybody knows what you know.
But don't you think
You're
it's
right.
also when you say, you're not when you're just saying your prayers, well, when I can be a couple of hours, but it's in thought and prayer.
It is, and it's about the intention.
And that's what and my thought is direct thought to the source.
But we wanted to do it according to the book. I totally agree with you.
Have you done much work with people with like psychiatric problems, psychosis and stuff? seems to be mental health.
No,
No.
is the short answer. But I don't see why you couldn't.
Well, no. Having spoken to Yvette and all the stuff she went through is slightly different, but that works so well with her. I just feel this can be used anywhere, and I just feel if this was used in prisons, what a difference it would make to some of those people in there. Because they're in prison, not, yes, because they've done bad things, but because a lot of it is cellular memory
They want help, don't they?
that's been brought through from other generations.
You could think about this. You can actually do it by distance. If you get the permission from the person's higher self, you can actually think of the person, if you buy into this. So supposing you think of someone who needs healing, you can visualise that person in your mind's eye, you can ask them a question by distance, you can ask the higher self, will you accept this healing? And if you get a yes answer, you can send it out. So you don't have to engage them in the process. And just one last thing, unless anybody has more questions. The reason why I said this can change the world, what is it that you're reprogramming the person with? Unconditional love. You can change the world with this stuff. And that's the unstated aim of Alex Lloyd. He'll not come out and say it, but that's what he wants to do. And that's why we are totally motivated to do this work. And it's no problem.
One of the aspects, I listened to you talking there, one of the aspects, I'm a dowser and I clear geopathic stress from houses.
Right.
One of the aspects that we do before we go into clearing anything is this ability to lock into the crystal energy of the earth,
Yeah.
and then the cosmic womb from above,
Yeah.
and combine those two energies and give oneself, well, clear your whole body and give yourself protection as well,
Yeah.
because you're dealing with some very
Yeah.
vibrant energies.
The protection comes from it with this process, and that's fantastic, the work that you're doing. By getting into a state of unconditional love.
Yeah.
Nothing can harm you.
Yeah, so, well,
That's my view.
yeah, I'm not going to question that, but I'm just going to say from the teaching I do through dowsing, through the British Society, we're always taught just to be so careful of these spiritual energies, entities that you can sometimes come up against, which can invade you if you're not protected. But to me, it's this actual clearing of
But it's
the
a
body.
connection with the heaven and the earth, isn't it? And just bringing the light and
And
stuff
bring the
down.
light in, and it's just a total
Yeah.
release once you do it. And that's then everything from there becomes intentional thought. And you can clear this energy of a geopathic stress in the house by pure intention of thought.
Yeah.
And you stamp it in, and that's it. Yeah.
It's all the same, isn't it? It's just a
It's
variation on it.
a variation of the thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.